we're going to be looking at a chorus effect. What's chorus? Chorus is it simulates like a performance of multiple players. So if you imagine a singer doubling his vocal or her vocal, that's going to create a chorus effect, because there's going to be a shift in time, because they're not going to match perfectly, and the pitch will vary as well. So that's what gives you that chorale sound. Chorus works very well on acoustic guitars, vocals, backing vocals, and we're looking at one particular chorus at this time. It was introduced in 1979 by Roland, and it's called the Dimension D. Notable users were Peter Gabriel, Stock Aitken and Waterman, stuff like that. And it's just a wonderful little tool to add depth and dimension to components. So if you have a lonely acoustic guitar, just a touch of that will just widen things out. Vocals, backing vocals, a little bit of Dimension D on it, and suddenly it's sort of spreading out across the stereo field. It's really nice and ever so subtle. So it's not like an obvious bang chorus, there it is. No, it's very hard to discern what the hell's going on, but there's something happening. Now the Dimension D is, as you can see, it's got 4 settings. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1 being the most subtle chorus, 4 being the most obvious, even though not very obvious. And you can do funky stuff like holding 1 and 3 down, or holding all 4 buttons down, which increases the chorus effect. And for this example, I've just pulled up a bass line, and we're going to have a listen. So we're going to have a dry bass right in the middle, and then I'm going to flick in the Dimension D, which is set to 4, which happens to be my favorite setting, and see what it does. It's not going to be obvious. It's not going to jump out like, like adding a reverb to something. It's like, oh yeah, that's obvious, that's a reverb. It's very subtle, but you can just sense it, especially if you start listening between the dry and the affected bass, where the dry signal's right in the middle, and then with the chorus it just widens out a little bit, just fills a slightly bigger space. It's really nice on bass because it makes it move along. It makes the bass move along, and it just starts sitting and moving and weaving through the track. So like cooking, add and season to taste. So let's have a listen to the dry bass. Okay, nicely thumping along, and then we'll flick in the chorus, which I have returned here on the desk on these 2 channels, panned hard left and right, because it's a stereo effect. I mean, if it's too wide, you can just bring it in on the pans a little bit, but let's leave it out. And here it comes. And you can notice suddenly from the middle it kind of opens up a little bit. And if you do this in a track, where maybe the bass isn't that prominent, but you just want it to maybe cut through a little bit, rather than just EQing, because it, the chorus does an EQ by itself, because it's sort of time shifting things around. The bass will feel like it's more prominent because it's creating a lot more movement in the track. So let's have another listen with it out. And in. And there we go. It's a very useful tool, and you can emulate this with your onboard plugins. You can put a chorus on the bass, and maybe take some of the top end off again, so it's not that obvious, and just play with it to taste. And keeping in mind, if you do it too much, it's going to get really, really stereo-y and out of phase. Especially with sort of onboard plugins. They're kind of designed designed to be quite wide, so you have to keep an eye on things and keep checking in mono that your bass doesn't disappear. So if you go too wide, it's going to be out of phase, and you know, one side is pulling, the other side is pushing, and if you go to mono, bye bye bass. So you have to keep checking that mono compatibility. And yeah, again, you know, there's a very obvious reproduction of the Dimension D in the UAD pack. Looks the same, and I have to say, sounds pretty damn similar. I think it's on every track that I work on. I love it. So you're looking for some compression. Couldn't be easier, you know, straightforward peak limiter, EQ. If you can find one, you're gonna pay through the nose. I'm gonna say it's worth it, because it